Hey guys, I have something to admit. Something I'm really not very proud of, but something that has really changed how I see life and, caused this really incredible growth within me. And so that's why I want to share it with you now. So it all starts with, like I said, something I'm really kind of ashamed to admit, and it's a very prejudiced, very biased, a very hateful narrative that I had in my mind. And it had to do with poor, rural, white Christian people, blaming them for being ignorant, racist, backwards. And the irony is, I grew up with them. But that's also why I have this belief, right? Why where that seed was planted, because I did see some very racist, prejudiced things when I was growing up. And my family and I, we felt very self-conscious to share our faith with others, let others know that we're Muslim. What happened after 9/11 did little to nothing to change my idea. Actually, it further solidified it. I saw myself retreat into the Muslim community and develop even more fear of of those people I grew up with. But something happened. I moved back to my hometown. I had to interact with those people I was afraid of. I had to be a part of a community that I felt alienated me, and I in turn alienated. One of the first experiences I had moving back was enrolling my daughter in school. And the irony is, I enrolled her in the same school that I attended as a kid. As she's collecting the paperwork and getting things ready, I said, "Oh, by the way, I was a student here." And she said, "Oh, when?" And I told her, and she actually pulled out this card with all of my teachers. I didn't even realize they would have something like that so readily available. She looked through them, seeing if any of the teachers were still around, and she said, "Actually, we have one teacher. She's here right now. She's not a full-time teacher anymore. She's retired, but she comes back and helps out. And so let me call her to the office." And so she called the teacher to the office, and it was a really cool experience. I got to meet my old teacher, reminisce a bit. She got to meet my wife, my daughter. So that was a cool, nice, surprising interaction that I had. Something that I really wasn't expecting. Kind of this welcome back home kind of feel. But there was more, right? There's a whole community of people outside of the school. I wasn't very optimistic, especially given the fact that my wife is from Hong Kong. My wife wears a headscarf. There was at least going to be stares, right? So, we'd go to the stores, grocery, everywhere, and surprisingly, we didn't have that experience. People didn't stare at us, people didn't make us feel awkward, there was never any comments. It was it was a pleasant return home, I have to say. We lived outside of town, and like we'd go on walks in the neighborhood, and it's not really a neighborhood, it's like trees and rural roads. But anytime anybody passed us, we'd wave at them, they'd wave at us with a smile. These experiences were challenging my bias, my prejudice, if you will. The most impactful thing that happened was when Ramadan rolled around, and the teacher, my daughter's teacher, reached out and said, "Oh, we were going to be teaching Islam as part of the curriculum this year. It would be great if you guys would kind of like help educate us." And we explained that, we're fasting for a month and there's a holiday. And so what she did is she threw a holiday party, an Eid party for the children in the class. They even filled out a card and wished my daughter a happy holiday, a happy Eid. It was a really touching moment for me and my wife. And I just had to share that with you. That really changed me. And I think there was one other experience when we went back to California. We were in the process of moving back and we're visiting, looking for houses and stuff. And we met up with some friends, Muslim friends, and we were sharing our experiences. And their comment was, "Oh, I could never do that, right? I couldn't go. Those people, There was an apprehension of rural white Christian people that wasn't just limited to me, even our friends. And they're open-minded, they're good people, but they had this fear. They worried about the safety of their family in that kind of environment. That forced me to confront my own prejudice, my own racism, I saw myself reflected in there, and I didn't like it. Because for all these years, I thought that it was rural white Christian America that didn't understand and accept me, that they had stereotypes and prejudices against me. And here I was doing the same thing back, having stereotypes, having prejudices, having an assumption of how they think and how they're going to interact with me. And this experience challenged those assumptions. This experience helped me see that we all do this to each other. I realized we're all afraid of each other. And because of that, we don't trust each other. Because of that, we rationalize our intolerance of each other. So, why do we have this fear? Where is it coming from? To a certain extent, some of it is very natural, right? For human beings, we crave safety. And people who look like us, people who speak like us, people who believe like us make us feel safe. Okay, I can trust you because you share an identity with me, and therefore, we're going to look out for each other. It's a very old tribal way of seeing the world. And what makes it worse is that politicians love to take advantage of this, advantage of this little bias that exists in us. And they do this to raise money. They do this to get voters to the ballot box, claiming that they're going to protect us from this evil, from this harm out there. Because it's a lot easier than actually working hard and serving all of the voters, serving the entire population. And in the end, we all get pitted against one another. And before anybody starts getting all haughty out there, yes, Republicans definitely do this. They paint this picture of a glorious past that they want to bring back. And they're going to protect, without saying it, rural white Christian America from the evils of minorities, from the evils of immigrants, from the evils of Muslims, all these outsiders that are diluting our country, that are defiling our country, that are preventing us from reaching our full potential. That's the implication, if not outright stated. That's kind of the narrative, if you scratch under the surface. But Democrats do something similar. Democrats paint a picture of a bright and happy future, a progressive future where we all love each other. But what's holding us back are these poor, rural, white Christians. They're backwards, they're racist, they're ignorant, and they're keeping us back. They're preventing us from achieving our full potential as a nation. If only we could overcome their thinking, we would be able to get there. That's the danger. That's the narrative that we've all fallen prey to, and myself included. And I'm embarrassed to say it. I thought I was smarter than that. I thought I was more open-minded than that. I thought it was better than that. And so it's a very embarrassing thing to admit, but fear is such a powerful force. Fear can be used to manipulate people. And like I said, I'm no exception. I think a lot of us have fallen victim to this. A lot of us have fallen victim to these narratives that have pit us against each other, that have encouraged that desire for safety, that need for safety, and that fear we have of those who are different from us. And in the end, it's the poor pitted against the poor, the powerless pitted against the powerless. So I don't want to be a pawn in this game anymore. I don't want to rob anybody else of their humanity by labeling all of them because of the actions of a few. Because that's what's happening, right? There may be white people in rural America that are racist, that are hateful, but they're a small minority. There may be Muslims in the world who are terrorists, But again, they're a small minority. There may be blacks in the world that rob and murder, and Mexican gang members that rob and murder. But again, they're a minority. The vast majority of us just want to live in peace, want to take care of our families, make a few bucks in the process. Look, I'm not above stereotyping, right? Anybody who knows me knows I stereotype. And my friends, we always love messing around with each other, stereotyping each other, because there's truth to it. There are tendencies within groups. There are characteristics. There are patterns of behavior that exist in different groups that are disproportionate to other groups. But what I've learned is I can never judge somebody based on those stereotypes, because there's always exceptions. And you know, maybe even the majority of the group doesn't that stereotype doesn't apply to them. Understanding that stereotypes exist, that there may be some truth to them, but that we can't judge an individual based on a stereotype of an entire group. An individual needs to be judged on their own merit. I can't help but think that if we can just get past this fear, if we can just get past uh, this this baser instinct we're just trying to protect ourselves, and it causes us to mistrust those who aren't like us. If we can get past that, the power these politicians have over us and manipulating us, and getting us to donate and vote for them, and then further encouraging this cycle of mistrust and hatred and anger and animosity. If we can just get past that rhetoric will fall on deaf ears because it won't resonate with us. It's like, you say this, but I know you're trying to manipulate me. That's the point I've gotten to, where whether you're Republican or Democrat and you're talking about the evils of the immigrants, the migrant crisis, or if you're talking about the evils of these backwards, rural, white Christians trying to hold us back, it falls on deaf ears. The vast majority of people are good people. They just want to live in peace. I'm not going to allow some opportunist to manipulate me and my fear and my ignorance to pit me against somebody else. Once we can see past that, once that rhetoric can fall on our deaf ears, once they no longer have the power to manipulate us, I think that's when will see the rise of leaders who really do represent all of us. Not just claim to represent all of us as kind of some rhetorical argument, but truly represent all of us. And you know what? We deserve elected officials that are willing to roll up their sleeves, work hard, and represent all of us, because it's possible. And I'm done letting fear and mistrust guide my decisions, my actions. And I just want to share that with you. And I hope it resonates. I hope you've been also thinking about these things, and maybe we can have that conversation. Let's start that conversation. Let's spread the word. Let's build up understanding and relationships among us, so that we can build that better future. We don't need the politicians to do it for us. They're actually the problem. They're part of the problem that we need to overcome. Hi, guys. My name is Jonty, and here I share my insights and my failings in my journey of personal growth. So, if you're interested in living a happier life, if you're interested in feeling more closely connected to those around you, then please join me. I can't wait to hear what you have to share. Thanks for joining me. Bye.